It's a quick video here just showing you how to find your custom pathways, etc. Some of you that are having troubles with your USB not being recognised or your games not showing up, things like that. I'm going to show you a few things here. Initially look from other videos, there are many fixes for this, but I'm just going to show you another couple things that could be the reason why either your USB stick's not showing or because your games on your USB stick aren't showing. So let's get to it. Go into your USB loader GX. And mine's the mod one. You know, I've got the GameCube and everything all on the same. So you could put that one in if you want to. Alright. So there we are, we're in game. Of course, USB loader GX mod. The differences of this one, of course, you got your Wii, and then you can go bang straight into your GameCube collection instead of having them all. And then you got your WiiWare if you've got any as well. But okay, so there's your the GameCube, there's the Wii. Right, now for the Wii, of course, as I say, people having problems with your games not showing up. First thing you want to check, go down here to your Wii box. You'll see there, Wii games or GameCube games. Now if you've just got the standard USB loader GX, not the USB loader GX mod, this is where, because of course with the mod one it's showing us GameCube and everything up here. With your standard USB loader GX, it's not going to do that. You can have your list here, and this will be how you add your GameCube games into the list. Or if you just want to show your GameCube games so it's not so messy, turn your Wii games one off and just click your GameCube games. Alright, but if you've got the USB loader GX mod, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, but anyway, this is how you, if your games aren't showing, that's one fix. Okay, make sure that that's ticked. The next thing you want to go into, just go down here to your settings in USB loader GX. Doesn't matter if it's the mod one or just whatever. Right, into here. Now, I have gone through these settings in the previous videos, so check them out. Otherwise, it's a waste of my time making them, isn't it? So, anyway, here what you want to do is go into your hard drive settings. You'll see here USB port. Okay, so if you've got problems with your USBs not showing, this can be a way of fixing it because your custom pathways may be set to read on a different one. Initially, always make sure your USB is plugged into the USB port that's closest to the edge of your Wii. The other USB port you use for your hybrid controllers, aftermarket controllers, PlayStation controllers, Xbox, whatever. Right, so USB port, of course, here, change it to 1 if you've got nothing showing up, and then go back out and see if your games show up. All right, you could, and initially both port, we don't want to do that. Okay, so with me, mine's on 0. If I put that on 1 right now, of course my games aren't going to show up. Okay, but you might have it the other way. I do have some Wiis where 0 doesn't work, and I've got to put it on 1 for it to work. So that may be your other thing. Right, next thing we'll go to. Actually, I'll go through this so you can just see how I've set this up. See there, install directories. So it's game ID, game name. Okay. And that's how I've got mine set up in the game directory. Mine's got the game ID and it's got the game name. Alright, install partitions, okay. So you want to split each one 4 GB, it's just for size. So make sure you got these settings set how I've got them here and you should be fine. Okay, next thing we're going to quickly go over is your custom pathways. And actually, before we do custom pathways, we'll just quickly go into features. Alright, so I have had some remarks, some people, their games are showing up, but their pictures aren't, etc. Things like that, or the titles aren't there. Okay, so another thing that can be the reason, like your USB might be there, loading up, but your games aren't showing. Titles from game TDB, turn that on. If that's off, like my one is, but your games aren't showing, turn that on. If it's the other way around, your games aren't showing, and this is on, turn that off. Okay, catch titles on, force titles from disk on. Wii light, I mean that's up to you if you want your Wii lights on your machine flashing away. Alright, so of course that's basically it there. But I'll just go through this list so you can just check to make sure yours are all the same as what I've got here. Okay. And I'll actually just quickly go through all these quickly, just so you can see a rough setup how I set mine up normally. But as I say, there's a couple differences. That USB sometimes has to be set to 0 or 1. So you see there, disk artwork download, original customs. So if you're having problems with your disk artwork, there are your settings to go into here. So you got original, customs, original and customs. I just put on both, so you got the, yeah, it's going to load both of them up. Alright. Just going to go through this quickly. You can pause it where you need to, because we're still going to get into the custom pathways yet and to show you that. Of course, here I have shown you how to use these things before, so look at my other videos to actually know what each one of these for. You'll see here how I've set them up. If you haven't watched my videos, you just quickly set this up here. I've got it set right here. Mainly if you've actually followed my videos and installed D2X Custom iOS exactly how I show everybody. If you've done everything in my past videos exactly how I show you, these are the settings that you want to use. Alright, this is for your GameCube and for your Wii. So I'm going through these quickly, but you've got the chance you can just pause the video at your end. Alright, oh, where's the one we just in? Now, hard drive, which we showed you before. Remember, if you get USB's not showing, click that onto one. Now again, if you've done all that and it still doesn't show, as it's shown on your features, initially if your thing's showing but your game titles aren't, try that the other way around. You've got to put that on, or if it's if it's off, turn it on. If it's on, turn it off, and then reload it and just see. Well, go back out of here. You don't have to reload the whole Wii. Just go straight back out of your settings and see if your games show up. Alright, so let's quickly go down this list again. Bang. Right, so now we're going to go into the custom pathways. Alright, so what we want to do is go over here. You'll see here, custom paths. A lot of people tell me they can't find where custom pathways is. So just to clarify where custom pathways is, let's go back out. Alright, so we're at our GX loader. No matter which one it is, go into your settings, click over one, custom paths. Okay, and then you go in here. Now I'm going to show you what I've set up here. Basically, as I say, if you've followed all my videos and you've set your Wii up exactly how I've shown, these are the settings you're going to want. Now this is mainly for, like having your setup on your SD card, your letterbox and all that you've set up to actually put Homebrew on. Leave that the same, but your games are actually on a USB stick or a USB hard drive, a USB SSD. If you watch my previous vids, I advise everybody to use an SSD if you are wanting to put your whole game collection on one big drive. You're going to have to follow my other videos to show you to set that up, because of course there's ways to trick the system to, or on a PC, to actually format your SSD to a FAT32. As you know, if you're into computing, you normally can't format a big giant drives to FAT32. It's normally NTSC, CXT, things like that. So, but there's a thing called GUI formatter, and that will format any size hard drive to FAT32, and that's how I set mine up. You can do NTSS, but you must keep your game files as an ISO file, not as a WBFS. But if you've got the WBFS files, you're doing it that way, you want it all set up as FAT32. So if you've done it exactly how I've shown in all my videos, these are the settings you want here in your custom pathways. Alright, so I'll just quickly show you. SD apps, USB loader, images, as you can see that. We're just going to quickly go through them. You can pause it as I say. I'm just showing you the pathways to select. And this is so that way USB loader knows the pathway where your games are. Okay, this is why we've got to do it. Alright. And let's go down a couple. Alright, double pass on the SD, yes. Homebrew apps path, of course that's on the SD. As I say, games I've only got on the USB. Everything else, WADs, files, Homebrew, everything else put on your SD card. Alright. That's for your GameCube. It's telling it where to find them, the pathways to it. Of course, we're setting up pathways because we've actually got your USB loader GX on the SD card. Okay. See, SD apps. Alright. Alright. So now we've gone through custom pathways. Basically, that's all the things you need to know to be able to fix your problems. As I say, that's only if you followed my other vids on how to set up D2X custom IOS, and you've followed that exactly. Now, remember, I have got 2 videos on the D2X custom IOS. The reason for that, there is 2 different types of settings you can use depending on the model of your Wii. So that's why, if you're wondering why there's 2 videos that seem like they're the same, when you go into them, they're not quite exactly the same. Okay, there's a slight difference in setting it up. So if you do have troubles with anything, if none of this works, then you may have to try my other video on the other way of setting up your D2X custom IOS. Okay, but the one that I do show that's the most popular, that is the one that works for 70 to 80% of the Wii consoles, and without having to change lots of loader settings all the time. If you don't follow the video I've got on the D2X custom IOS, you end up having problems where, let's say you go into a game, it doesn't load, so you're having to go into the settings of each game, and you're having to actually go in here and tell it, I want to load from 251, or I want to load from 249, 250. Of course, here you go clear, you add it, and then go in. But of course we don't have to do that, because if you've set it up with your D2X custom IOS how I've shown, 90% of the games will go without you having to individually do each game. Okay? And that's why I've done those videos, to show, so that way you don't have a lot of mucking around. Okay, it's a lot of settings that will make it that 90% of your games will go without you having to try and work out exactly which one. It's already done on that setting. Anyway, that's basically all you need to know there. And another thing, excuse me, if you have installed, done your letterbox and all that, and installed Homebrew, don't go over here and update. Okay, don't do that. Okay, you want to have done all that before you actually mod it. Okay, I'll just quickly go into your custom paths again. Just to, as I say, the people that are having problems with the disk art, you see there, disk artwork, SD apps, USB loader, and it's the disk cover we're using. Full covers, GX images full. Okay, and then use your titles, telling it where to find it, where to load the titles. And to go into it a wee bit more in depth, I mean, initially, also, if you set it up like this, you're going to be fine, but I'll go into this just to show you what you are going to see, because it's going to look a lot different to this setup here. So you click into that, and you'll see here we're just into it like a normal computer system. Now, this is the other thing I was saying here before we select USB 1, USB 0. You notice for mine to work on this machine, back on the other thing I showed you, USB 0 had to be set, but it had to be USB 1 here. Okay, when it was USB 0 here or 2 here, it didn't work. But anyway, this is where you go through and find you tell it its pathways. All right, so my images are in here, so I've told it to come into this folder. All right, so I mean, if we were to go out one, you see here, now this is all the stuff that's on my SD stick. Okay, this is all your installation stuff, your homebrew, everything. Okay, so if we were to keep going down, you'll see there, multi-mod manager, Nintendo, all that there. Okay, but we're using USB loader GX. You'll see there's the GX mod. And so of course, because we're using USB loader GX, we want to come down to USB loader GX, because that's where the titles are. Well, if mine they're actually in GX mod. Actually, did I put them in GX? Oh no, they could be here. Okay, so, and then you select that, it's going to find the images right there. Okay, so then we just go okay. Oops. But Also, I mean, I've got USB loader mod, but you'll see here with mod I've got nothing under that. Okay, so even though I'm using USB loader mod, I've told USB loader mod that the images, I mean the disk files are not there, and images or whatever, they're not there. They are in USB loader GX. Okay, that's where I've got them in. See, images. That's also when you download your images. Once you've got them all, they'll be in here. Initially, if you've done it with the mod, they'll be within the mod. All right. So that's how you find your pathways to things. Okay. Now, oops, we have to actually set that back up. Actually, no, we don't. We can just cancel. Of course, I'll show you here. Look. So we go. This is USB 1. Okay, so that's my USB. Oh, and actually, here's my SD. Sorry. So SD card's gonna have, which is okay. That's even though it is saying that, you'll see here. Look, it's saying USB 1 games. Down here we've got SD selected. Okay, these are not in the SD card. These are on the USB, as it says here, USB 1 games. All right. And WBFS, of course, that is on USB 1. As you can see there, USB 1, WBFS, so that's going to be a USB. Okay. But, of course, it's titles path. But titles path is here. So you'll notice there, even though it says USB, like we click on it, you notice it's sort of just back to front in a way. You click on USB, and it puts it up there, okay? So now you've selected USB. If you click SD, now SD is up there, okay? So even though you see USB 1 here, it's not showing you USB 1 here because we just click the SD to select it. Okay, so this is SD apps. So these are all my apps that are on the SD card, which, you know, if you're watching these videos, you're already well past this and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is how you find and tell the we GX loaded the pathways, where to find things. So the titles path, so I'll go back in here and actually, oh, go back, oh, wrong one. Oh, God. All right. So my titles in here. All right, I'll go back out of here. So we can you just go into OK. I mean, I don't have to, it's already done. I'm just going to cancel and go out. And the same with your themes, disc artwork, same thing, you're telling it where your artwork is. Alright, so wherever you've got your artwork stored, once you've downloaded it, if you've downloaded the artwork through GX Loader, GX or GX Loader mod, whichever one you've downloaded your images in, that's the one you're going to have to tell the system to load from, okay? So, see there, so the artwork, GX images, and of course it would have been in full, or it could have been on disk. I mean, here, you can just leave that on that and it's going to select it, so you could go okay there. But SD apps, USB loader GX images, of course we've got the 2D images in there. They're not going to show up here, but they're in there, alright? Well, especially if you've downloaded them. Same as your disk artwork, etc. And then you got full, alright? But it's going to go out of here, cancel, because we don't need that. Right, you'll see there, SD apps, USB loader GX images, disk. So that's what I had this one set up on. So these ones here are actually set on the disk file in that one. So you click on that and then just go OK. Alright, as I say, sometimes you can get away with, if we go back out, you could just have it on that and it's going to select, sometimes it'll select the right one. Other if it doesn't, you've got to actually go in here and tell it where they are. Oh, excuse me. Right, so that's about it. We've covered everything you need to know on your custom pathways, how to set them up. Okay, there's a bit of knack to it, and I mean, if you're not computer savvy in that, it's going to seem a bit awkward at first, but you'll get the gist of it. All right, just follow my vid here, follow my other vids, you should be fine. All right, the main thing is titles path. You want to make sure that that is correct, otherwise your titles aren't going to show up. Okay, and same, you got your themes, your disc artwork, all that stuff. But that's basically it. As I say, my other videos show you other fixes for other problems, but that's the main one we're trying to set up for your custom pathways, etc. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if it's helped, and yeah, subscribe if it's yeah, if it's been interesting for you. You've learned a few things. There's a range of different things on the channel, gaming, all sorts of stuff, and there's plenty more to come. That's on auto release at different times throughout the year. So enjoy. Hopefully it's fixed your problems.